What up, family? I was gonna do a big episode covering two stocks that were requested in the comment section of our Hyundai Mobis video, Hugel and Celltrion specifically. However, I decided to take the next week off to get some personal stuff in order, so I got weighed down with work this week and I only have time to cover Hugel in this video. Realistically, I also don't want to give you a half-baked, rushed product. I'll definitely get to it when I get back. Y'all are watching Sekiter, and today we're diving waist deep into a popular biopharmaceutical cosmetic company, born, raised, and most importantly for us, listed in the Republic of Korea, Hugel. Now before we continue, we'd just like to remind you that this channel is meant for general education purposes only and isn't meant to replace the legal or financial advice of a paid professional. When it comes to investments, it's always healthy to take everything with a fair bit of skepticism regardless of the source. Anytime you hear someone, whether us or otherwise, mention a stock, it should be standard practice to assume that they have some position on it. So, the contents of this video should not be used as a basis for or against investment. There are no friends in the market, so it's imperative that you learn how to do your due diligence when looking into a company for yourself. Want to know how? Well, do us a tiny favor, scroll down, hit the like and subscribe buttons, and we'll do our best to help you figure out how to figure out this game for yourself. That being said, let's get to it. Now, starting to talk about Hugel, I just want to let you guys know that I'm fairly illiterate with regards to biochemistry, and that means that I'll probably mispronounce a bunch of stuff that Hugel is getting into. Forgive me in advance. Anyways, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm also not the kind of person who has first-hand experience with cosmetic medicine, so make sure to fact-check my work, and if you're interested in the stock, look into the industry properly. Now in short, Hugel is a biopharmaceutical company that focuses on the cosmetic dermatology market through the manufacturing of products like fillers, botulinum toxin aka Botox, threads, and other products in that niche. Now, I don't know if you can tell by my voice, but I have absolutely no idea what's really good in the cosmetic dermatology market. Luckily, my partner does. So I asked her to fill me in on what she's heard from friends, what she knows about the market, and what she knows from personal experience. Now keep in mind, what she told me is not a professional opinion, so once again, make sure to do a bit of fact checking on your own. In any case, cosmetic dermatology in Korea is basically just the use of Botox, threads, and fillers to help decrease wrinkling and keep skin looking young. Now one thing that she told me that's really pertinent to this video is that in the past it was a lot more common for Korean women to get fillers and threads from foreign brands because their effects were quality and they lasted a long time. Now however, there are a lot more Korean brands that achieve the same effects, albeit for a shorter amount of time, but the cost burden of getting such procedures is much lower. Now, she doesn't work in the industry, so obviously she doesn't know about Hugel, so let's talk about that from our perspective. Now, Hugel is one of the big players in the Korean market and has spent much of their 16 years of experience focusing on R&D, patents, and moving into foreign markets around the world like Asia, Latin America, and Europe. Last year, they became the very first foreign company to sell Botox in China, and in April of this year, they applied to license their product in the US, an application that was accepted about a month ago. Through these efforts, they've attracted the attention of larger conglomerates who've looked to take large stakes in the company, including Shinsegae and GS Retail. This month it was revealed, however, that Shinsegae had backed out of the running, effectively putting GS Retail in prime position to assume a 44% controlling stake in the company, worth an estimated $2 billion. GS Retail of GS Corp is a company we've talked about in the past and is currently in talks to acquire Yogiyo from Delivery Hero, in addition to looking at Hugel. Now their history with mergers and acquisitions, aka M&A, has been a little bit wobbly, so it has yet to be seen how far along they are in these deals. Obviously, should watch them if you have a stake in GS Retail or you have any interest in what's going on here. Well, anyway, that's all besides the point. Now that we know what Hugel does, let's talk numbers. Hugel saw a spike in their stock price as rumors of Shinsegae's interest in the boycott swirled in mid-July. That's petered out over the past couple months as Shinsegae has stated their retreat from big M&As after their acquisition of eBay Korea about a month ago. In the end though, a lot of M&A news is really just a bit of will they won't they back and forth that can throw the stock price for a loop in the short term but may not actually result in anything in the long term. What we can check, however, is their investor materials and financial history as well as the stock information. Let's start with the latter because it's a lot easier. Hugel has a market cap of 2.9 trillion won at market close on August the 5th, 2021. They're trading at a PE of roughly 53 times earnings with no recent dividend history. This is fairly normal given what we've already covered with regards to their R&D and expansion efforts. With regards to their price to book, they're about 3.76 times book value, which at first glance seems to be on the low end for their industry, with their largest cap competitor IPO'd at almost 16 times book value. So anyway, starting with the basics, their income statement shows us what we want to see, with sales growth for each of the past 5 years, while also remaining in the black for that same time span. For 4 of those 5 years, however, their cost to sales and SG&A costs have been increasing, superficially resulting in an inconsistent trend in terms of net income growth. Again, we know how hard they've been pushing to establish themselves in foreign markets, and in combination with the R&D and expanded product base, it's not difficult to see where these increased costs have originated from. Now, looking at their earnings from Q4 last year, which I prefer to Q1 of this year due to how COVID affected everything for everyone at the beginning of 2020, we can see how much growth they saw in comparison to Q4 2019. Specifically, their revenues grew 25% compared to a COGS growth of only 16% and SG&A growth of just over 1%. In addition, their operating profits were up 60% and their net income up a whopping 101% when compared to the same time period in 2019. Now, if we scroll down a bit, we can see that a lot of their revenue growth came from sales growth of their toxins and fillers, which were up 46.1% and 19.7% respectively. Given their October debut in the China market, it's not surprising to see Asia sales up over 30% at that same time period, but referring back to what my partner said earlier on, the company has gotten a huge boost domestically as more customers are drawn to cheaper domestic treatments over their foreign competitors in Korea. Looking at the data on their balance sheet over on Reuters, however, there are a few things to be aware of. For one, they hold a significant amount of value in intangibles and goodwill, which aim to monetize things like brand recognition and name, intellectual property, or customer base, but in the case of a liquidation, cannot be sold for any funds. The fundamental thing to look into with this type of holding is whether or not these assets really hold any weight, or if they're overrepresenting what they're meant to cover. I can't tell you what the case is here because that's a big value judgment and I haven't done enough research, so that's something to look further into if you are interested in buying the stock. Now, I'm not going to cap. I don't know enough about the industry to provide you with any of the regular overviews that I would for older industries like shipping, auto manufacturing, or cosmetics. For that, you'll have to do your own research, and luckily for you, they have a lot of English language information on their website, which I will link to in the description box below. This includes not only the IR materials that we've looked at today in this video, but also a presentation that they put together for the JP Morgan conference that goes much further into detail about the company than I have here. Alright fam, that's it for me. Like I said at the top, I'll be taking some personal time for a week as my plates have been more than full for the past year and I'm in desperate need of sorting out my warabe. That's something I don't really have much of at the moment. Alright, hope y'all are well and be easy on yourselves out there. This Delta Plus variant is supposed to be a doozy. Take it easy, family.